This is Plant-Based Briefing, Food Fraud, What You Need to Know About Olive Oil and Avocado Oil, Part 1 by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. This is the curated content plant-based podcast, where I narrate a variety of articles on plant-based and vegan living with permission in about 10 minutes or less every weekday. And I'm pleased to have permission from Food Revolution to share their content. Today's article, though, is longer than 10 minutes, so I'm splitting it into two parts. I'll read part 1 today and then tune in tomorrow for the second half. And if you've been listening recently, you'll know I've been on a kick with oils lately, starting with some articles about seed oils and beef tallow and the whole conspiracy around all that stuff, but then also the newer science on whether olive oil is actually healthy or does it need to be avoided completely. And a listener on Facebook commented and asked if I knew anything about harmful additives being added to olive oils and extra virgin olive oil being fraudulently marketed as extra virgin olive oil when it's not. So I did some research on that and found a number of articles, and this one today is one that I think is a good one. So now let's get to today's plant-based briefing. Food Fraud, What You Need to Know About Olive Oil and Avocado Oil, Part 1 by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. Summary. Olive and avocado oils are widely used popular ingredients around the world. They're often touted for their health benefits and flavor, but they're also controversial and may not be of the quality that you would like to think. Even the Mafia is in on it. Find out what you need to know about olive and avocado oil. Where's the vegetable oil in your kitchen? Sitting next to the stovetop? Above the microwave? Tucked away on a pantry shelf next to the baking items? If you're fancy, you may have an elegant olive oil dispenser on your dining room table. Many of us use vegetable oil on a regular basis for stir-frying, sautéing, and dressing salads. If vegetable oils aren't the most exciting items in our larders, hey, at least they're dependable. We know what's in them, and we don't have to worry about poor quality ingredients. Well, not so fast. It turns out that some vegetable oils are not of the quality they claim, and some may not even be the oil we think they are at all. Rather, some vegetable oils appear to be the longtime victim of an unfortunately widespread industry scandal called food fraud. What is food fraud? According to experts at the National Center for Food Protection and Defense, food fraud is a collective term used to encompass the deliberate and intentional substitution, addition, tampering, or misrepresentation of food ingredients, or food packaging, or false or misleading statements made about a product for economic gain. In other words, if you thought you could read a food package and automatically trust all the claims plastered on it, this should make you very uncomfortable. Food fraud in the oil industry. Food fraud in the oil industry isn't new. There's a spectacular case from 1963 dubbed the Salad Oil Scandal, in which a shady company, Allied Crude Vegetable Oil, won a contract to provide salad oil to developing countries via a U.S. government program called Food for Peace. In a scheme far too convoluted to recount here, Allied hoodwinked hundreds of millions of dollars, worth billions in today's money, from investment banks by misrepresenting the amount of vegetable oil they had in inventory. They did it by filling tanker ships almost to the brim with water and then adding a thin layer of vegetable oil on top. While today's food fraud isn't that brazen, you'd probably notice if your expensive bottle of ultra-premium extra virgin olive oil was mostly water. Journalists and researchers are now uncovering fraud and low-quality products that are worth paying attention to. Fake avocado oil. A 2020 report from UC Davis published in the journal Food Control was the first study in the United States regarding comprehensive avocado oil quality and purity. The researchers found that most of the avocado oils they tested were of poor quality, mislabeled, or in some cases were actually combined with other lesser quality oils. One indication of low quality is that many U.S. brands of avocado oil were found to have gone rancid before their stamped expiration date. What's more, some shouldn't have been called avocado oil at all. Researchers found that some U.S. brands were mixed with other cheaper, lower-quality oils like sunflower, safflower, or soybean oil. In 3 of the oils tested, the soybean content was nearly 100%, which meant that the so-called avocado oil didn't come from any avocado whatsoever. The researchers also found evidence that damaged avocados of lesser quality were frequently used in the processing of the oils. This led to the oil oxidizing before it even hit the shelf, reducing nutritional benefits and expected quality. The problematic samples tested had a reduced level of DAGs, indicating that they were already oxidized, of poor quality and/or degraded with cheaper refined oils. Additionally, many samples had elevated levels of PPPs, also indicating they were oxidized and/or mixed with cheaper refined oils. As disappointing as the findings from the UC Davis study were, testing shows that food fraud is not unique to avocado oil. The darling of the vegetable oil industry, olive oil, is another product that may present some concerns. Fake olive oil? Think about the olive oil selection you have at the grocery store. Many bear an Italian-esque name or say made in Italy, drawing us in with their supposed authenticity. Sadly, some Italian olive oil may be rife with fraud. Elaine Sciolino wrote for the New York Times that much of the extra virgin Italian olive oil flooding the world's markets is neither Italian nor virginal. Extra virgin olive oil must, by definition, come from the first fresh press of olives and have zero additives. So when something is labeled that way, we just assume it's true. Unfortunately, the Mafia has infiltrated the agricultural industry, creating a term known as agromafia. Just like with avocado oil, olive oil could be blended with other unlisted, lower-quality plant oils and may be disguised with colorings and fragrances, thus fooling most consumers. Some olive oils are of poor quality or have already gone rancid as well. The problem is so widespread and the profit margin is so enormous, up to 2,000% according to insiders, that the scope of olive oil fraud has actually been linked to the illegal drug trade. In fact, in 2015, Italian police seized 7,000 tons of fake Italian olive oil in a single raid. Not only does food fraud reduce the quality of oils, but it can also pose risks to public health. The fact that other classic beloved foods from Italy are adulterated, such as mozzarella, whitened with detergent, and bread, made with sawdust or asbestos, offers a frightening window into the reality of the commercial and imported food system. In response to these concerns, the Italian government has imposed strict export controls in an effort to protect the reputation of its olive oil industry. How can we know if our oil is real? Perhaps the biggest downfall when it comes to lack of protection for the quality of olive oil is that there's no federal regulation of bottled oils and their label claims in the U.S. However, some states are passing bills with stronger requirements for olive oil labeling. In 2008, California passed SB 634, which states that it's unlawful to manufacture, sell, offer for sale, give away, or to possess imitation olive oil in California, and that any oil labeled California olive oil must solely come from California olives. However, because of the lack of federal regulation, there's a lot of money to be made by the agromafia, as well as other domestic companies who are cutting more expensive oils with cheap, low-quality ones, sometimes selling them as premium products. The good news is that while we don't know how common it is, outright fraud in the olive oil industry may be relatively rare in the United States. In 2015, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration published peer-reviewed research about olive oil authenticity in the Journal of American Oil Chemists Society. Researchers concluded that the occurrence rate of adulteration for the market samples they analyzed was quote-unquote low. You just listened to Food Fraud, What You Need to Know About Olive Oil and Avocado Oil, Part 1 by Ocean Robbins at foodrevolution.org. And I'm your host, Marian Erickson. Tune in tomorrow for the second half of this episode, where you'll learn about comparisons between avocado oil and olive oil and how to choose authentic ones. So please share this episode with anyone who might benefit, and thanks for listening.